yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about I Dream of Me
I
now.
Dream of Me. Man, this project has grown so much. So much. I mean, and it grew so fast and almost in an unfortunate way because people really need to be going crazy about this. The show alone, not to toot our own heart, not to toot our own horn, toot our own heart. Yeah, I don't know. But creating something from scratch, telling this new story that really parallels so many people's real life dreams coming true has just been so amazing. I know that I have shared that a lot of like my source for the lyrics were like my real life and seeing my dreams, and then as the performers performed, like everybody down to like the engineer who mixed and mastered the music. Thank you, Nakia, Shantae, Christelle Lee on the track, which is now out and available. Depending on if you're listening to this the day that we record it, you can see the preview now on Spotify. I'm very excited about that. But most of you should be able to now just look up Revolution Dance Theater on Spotify. Look up I Dream of Me on Spotify and hear Christelle Lee, hear Jazz McMullen. And all of these people, as we were creating this music and they were doing the lyrics, they were saying, oh, this is really easy for me to sing because this is my real life right now. This is my real life. Ashley, in writing the book, was able to express, thank you, Ashley. And thank you for helping me with my book. I'm officially an author now. Please buy my book. Please. Revodance.com/dream. Full of affirmations for little girls, but and how Ashley was able to say how easy this was for her. Because, you know, seeing real life dreams come true. When I was writing those affirmations, and I say to little girls, and it's only because there's only girls' pictures in the book, but it can really go out to anyone. Because I was writing to myself. Like a real life, like having to remind myself, paving this new way, doing things that I haven't seen other people do, but I knew I wanted to do it. So be the first. And what that looks like, you know, how do you paint a picture of a butterfly to a caterpillar who's never seen one? And what do those words need to say? And then when you see other people like the birds, you know, who fly and things like that, you know, to believe that it's not going to look the same for you, but you still can fly too. I got a chance to pour all that out, but I want to stop talking and I want people to hear from you. Because you are so instrumental in this process. And we get to hear from Ashley. We get to actually hear her voice in her writing. We get to hear Christelle's physical voice, but then she also had the pleasure of writing, you know, that song. You did a lot of our music. You know, you do so much around here that the show wouldn't stand without you. But a lot of times I don't think people actually get to hear your voice. And I'm curious, like, what does I Dream of Me meant to you? Is this anything that like 10-year-old Jeremy would have dreamed about doing? And like, how has this project impacted you in any way?
I'd say 10-year-old Jeremy wouldn't say it wasn't until about 13, I'd say I got into like really inspired to make beats or inspired to, you know, do audio engineering. But so far, like this project and the whole process, it's been an experience for me. There was a point where all I wanted to do was at some point like, I just want to do audio engineering. Like I just want to produce beats, or like there was a point where I just wanted to dance. There was a point where I just wanted to do videography, but working on projects like this, I get to do a little bit of each to certain extents. More so working on the music, and then getting to communicate with with Christelle, was very cool.
Yeah.
There was there was a song I started on for her, but
he was
I didn't
heated,
end
y'all.
up.
He was heated when,
Yeah,
when she said like I want to go a different direction.
Yeah, I'm not as good with like I wanted to like learn piano, but I'm not there yet. But like through like working with Fruity Loops, and I'm able to still like put things together in the piano roll, if you know what that is, and that sound really good like from scratch. So but yeah, it's been eye-opening and a challenge to be able to work on music, like starting with the instrumental for somebody, like hearing their voice and then like having them say, oh, it's in a different key, and then I'm trying to find like different keys. So it's been a challenge, me diving deeper into different like keys and notes, trying to put something together when like all I have is the like a few vocal snippets like from the artist, but then some of the other tracks, like the ones like the song for Jed and working with like there was like, you know, some deeper inspiration for that. So but it was cool putting that together, and
Jazz brought that song to life. So good.
I think I still have yet to
you gotta hear the final
like
mix.
The latest, like the latest.
And I gotta say, in case anybody, there is a portion of the song where admittedly it sounds off because I was not there when, and I hear very specific things in my head, and I shouldn't maybe even say anything because maybe it doesn't sound off to anybody else. But excuse me, when I got there and I listened to the playback, and they were fully prepared to re-record, and it was the weirdest thing ever. It was nothing like I had heard it in my head. But if you know anything, if you don't know anything about my schedule, is I am often supposed to be like 5 different places at the same time. And so this particular day I had, you and I had just finished running somewhere, I forgot. But then I had to go do a podcast. And then there was also rehearsal and class here at the studio. And that was also the same time that the singers could record for the album. And so we had met very briefly. I explained my vision to the singers. I sung, which I often do. Jeremy always has to hear my terrible like singing to try to catch the tune. But long story short, they did is what they could. But when I heard it, it was so different than what I had originally asked for. But the way Jazz committed to it in his voice, I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to touch it. And I was like, leave it the way it is. And so like, and it lands, it gets there. Like it's nothing really off. I just have a tendency to write a ton of words that there was just no way to figure out how to get them in there. But man, who he is as an artist, and how he's come into this Revolution Dance Theater family, and what that says about us. Like I feel like he's a company member. He's been a part of every single show that we've done, like since we started doing it. And it's like, here you have this man who is not a dancer, you know, by any stretch of the imagination, but our audiences know him, they connect to him, and he brings such a flavor and such a gift to us. And the world got to see that when he brought Uncle Dre to life, and now you get to see that with him bringing Jet to life.
Oh, for sure.
But I want to go back to Christelle's song.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When I hear that, like, it's just, Dwayne Lee, everybody, he ended up doing that music. And it's giving Disney. It's giving, just gives you all the feels. And when you heard it, you said, oh man, that's good.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Talk to me. How's it feel to be an artist? You were supposed to do the music for this song. And then you get feedback and it's like, I want to use somebody else. Can you take us back to that moment when it's like you put together something, you spent time on something, you gave it to her, and essentially, you know, she went in another direction. Like, What was that like for you?
Yeah, so, and I did touch on it just briefly before, but we looped around to another subject. So we had a meeting where we like originally talked about the music and the ideas for like what the music was gonna sound like, and then she wrote down some lyrics. She had some lyrics written down, and then she gave us like a little sample of like what she heard, and then so I internalized that, like, and I had my laptop up like already putting like notes in the piano roll and in Fruity Loops, so to what I heard like her sing, and that was just in my head, so I started creating off of that. And then long story short, I got like more lyrics and of more of a longer snippet of what the song was going to be, like some of the structure, and then I used the sample of what she sung. I put that in my timeline, and I just like created mostly just piano and just like all the notes and the progression of the notes and the hook and everything based off what she sent. And then I sent it back like, hey, here's what I have based off what you sent. You know, let me know if this works and we can expand on it. But yeah, she replied back like she was thinking like some different keys. And I was like, well, you know, there's only so much I could do from because I'm not a pianist, but I know what it should sound like. I know it sounds good, so like I tried to do what I could, but yeah, she I believe she worked with this artist, you know, before, or this producer before, and I've never met them, but like what I've heard. But yeah, when David sent me or played the actual song, what they mixed at the time, and it sounded really good, and I know how much it takes to create like that much like of a project like from scratch, like because I use a lot of samples. I use this program called Splice, and I can just find like what I need like very quickly and just throw it in the timeline, because that's like often how I'm not trying to spend hours and hours working on one beat, because there's like tons of other things to do. So that's what I've been using. But you know, when you have a artist that can just, you know, play things by ear and just things like that, you could get some stuff done. And they got some stuff done, which was a different direction than what I heard, but it turned out to really have that feel. And I'm like, well, I don't even think I could have done that. Like I can make some stuff, but it was definitely another level.
Did it anger you to not do the beat, or in overall were you able to see like I can let that go and somebody else can do that?
Yeah, it didn't anger me. It did feel like, you know, when I'm working on a project and it sounds really good to me, and I'm like, man, I would like I still want to use it, and I might still use it for something else, another project, or maybe something in the background or whatever.
Hey, listen, we might still use it for this show. I say I ain't finished show Saturday
for sure. Yeah, it sounds good to me, and it like the notes that I was creating and making, like it touched me, and I was like, okay, like this is good in my ears. But I guess it just wasn't the vision, so it didn't anger me, but it did push me in a way to wanna like know more and do more, so I can be more or effective or useful in creating a track from scratch. But it was also a relief at the same time, to where it's like, okay, then yeah, they can take it and do what they, you know, and just like make it come alive. And then you know, there were still other tracks I worked on, but yeah, it was a best of both worlds, I should say.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't mind letting it go.
I think it's a cool thing as an artist too. We had mentioned in an earlier episode how vulnerable it is to create, and when you put something out there, that at the end of the day, you know, ultimately, unless it is like a technique based thing, but even still, a lot of it is subjective, you know, and it's like whether you can stand by it or not, but whether how the world receives it, or when we're working in this instance where we're collaborating with another artist, where she's a professional and she wants to sound her best, even though like we're producing. But we have to step back and go, oh, if we don't have the capabilities to do this, then yeah, I, bow down and, submit, to a different vision. And that's not easy. And I, just watching you, I could tell that you had worked very hard, on what you had. And Jeremy is so even keel. The way that you guys see him or hear him on this show is he's not acting. This is Jeremy all the time. But like, there was just ever so much passion in your voice when you're like, I just don't understand what the problem is. It sounds pretty good to me. But then when we were able to hear that other track, it was like, hey, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
I was a little upset. I was a little upset at first. Yeah, mostly because.
But anybody would be, right? Anybody would be. And I think it's that same deal where I have to go back and be able to look at choreography and go, that wasn't my best, or look at it and go, that was my best, and it still didn't get the job done. So I should give that away to someone else.
Honest truth.
And I would say to the world, other creatives, like if you at all enjoy anything that you see around here or want to be a part of things that you see around here, I think this is a good example of how both Jeremy and I, we do a lot of the things that we do because we believe in the mission of Revolution Dance Theater. We believe in the artists that we are uplifting. We believe in the community that we are serving. We believe in putting those Black artists on stage and that they deserve a place. So we do all of the work only because we believe in it, but not because we are not willing to hand any of this stuff off, to other people. So, I think we should be more intentional about reaching out to volunteers. We should be more intentional about letting people know, like, maybe you are that person who enjoys creating music and creating from scratch. Like, engage with us. We love that type of stuff. Just looking at this one project, like I said, Nakia, Ashley, Jazz, Christelle, and then we haven't even touched on how we have untapped so much talent within our parent group. And I just want to take this moment to shout out all of the parents of Revolution Dance Theater's Academy. I want to spend a special shout out to Melissa, who's been taking care of like almost all of the costumes, and it just try to get into like my head, and Kim and Kiesha doing these girls' hair, and just getting makeup and stuff done, and Elizabeth, who stepped up to not just rally up the parents, but then joined our board of directors and then ended up getting voted in as the president of our board of directors. We are seeing right now what can happen when the community comes together, and what Revolution Dance Theater just might look like if it were more than 2 people. What Revolution Dance Theater just might look like if it were more resources pulled involved. And this I Dream of Me was a message for little Black girls to see themselves doing something that they hadn't seen people who look like them do something before. But I want to do a I Dream of Us challenge. I dream of us coming together as a community and showing what this can be as a true organization. For so long, Revolution Dance Theater was David Choate. Let's just be honest. And then it became David and Jeremy. Now it's on the cusp of just being Revolution Dance Theater. But that's when you pull your resources together and say, I'm going to support Black art. Because we do a lot with very, very, very little, what we were able to do in just this week, and we have to say thank you to Artsway, They funded us $10,000, you know, towards the I Dream of Me project. That hit our account this time last week. And, you know, but $10,000, like, and we're so grateful. And what we were able to do, as soon as we got it, we were able to get to work. Like, we're ready for it. We just need the resources. So it wasn't like get the money and it's like, ooh, what are we gonna do? Yes, we got the money and money's gone.
Yeah.
And proud of it because now we got books on the shelf. We got soundtrack out there that not just the kids that we get to touch here in the studio and work with in classrooms right here in Cincinnati, but now any single kid who hears about this, whether it be from a promo on Facebook or YouTube from across the world, can go onto Spotify and they can listen to this soundtrack and sing along these anthems that let them know that they can be and do whatever that they want to do. And they can read this book that gives them constant affirmations. And I wrote it in a way that, yes, your little kid will want it because it's butterflies and it's pretty pictures, but you can give that to your older 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old to continue to read those lines that tell them that it's going to be hard, that it's not always going to be people who look like you, that you're going to have to do the extra work. But if you believe in what you could do, if you only knew what you could do, and that's how the book ends. If you only knew what you could do, the world would be a different hue. And it's, God, it just gives me chills what we've been able to do in terms of not just teaching people how to dance, but teaching people how to dream. And teaching people how to go after it. But yeah, it's such a vulnerable thing. But we invite people to join us in that work. We're inviting writers, connect with us. We're inviting engineers, connect with us. We're inviting musicians, stylists, of course, dancers, choreographers. Like, let's really grow this thing. And let's see how much we can do.